So here is that print again to start it off. In a video that I'm probably going to share possibly on the next video, it will show me trying to put my hand up to this thing because my hand does not even come close to the size of that handprint that you see before you. The other crazy thing is this weird imprint. Every time I see this thing, I always think that this thing is a chicken foot, because, or at least a chicken toe, just because of the way it looks. Now, when I was photographing Junior for the first time, I think it's Junior that I photographed, on a picture, I may have to do that video again because it really show off where his hand is. But Cliff Brockman brought up an interesting point that their thumb really is this weird long joint, and it's really kind of strange looking. This thing in general is really strange because it doesn't make any sense, and the more you look at it, the more it's odd, and it almost looks like it's fatty here. But I've seen their fingers, their fingertips, and this is accurate. This is like their nail, and this is like their finger. Now, my car here, it actually bows right here. It goes from towards the front, and then it bends over to the back of the vehicle. That's what you see here. The other thing that's really interesting here is that these are donuts. All these things down in here to the far right are donuts. There's snacks. Everything was open at that time. If this was a bear, all that food in this area down here would be gone. Would be completely eaten. Totally 100% gone. So Mike and I start to explore into the trees. Where we were hearing some pretty strange things. And in fact, we have a video there's a video that I had captured some strange audio, and it is weird. And it was that night that's coming up, just after what I'm going to show you here. I think I will have another series of maybe partial photographs like this, and then it'll show some of the video, because there's some crazy things that Mike and I were experiencing the night that we were there. So this area here, when you're Bigfooting, you got to pay attention to every little stupid thing. Don't always look for the big gigantic things. Don't look for those, because it's not necessarily important. But they're fun to find, don't get me wrong. But in this picture right here, there's a lot of things going on. I always look for strange things, and this is strange because there's like these weird sticks. Now you could just say, those are just everyday things. But if you look carefully, this is a tree break right here. This is a tree break right here. And they're both facing the same direction. But there's other oddities that, if you're looking around, there's stick stacking, and it's done in a couple different places, and it just starts to act strange. The more stuff you look around for, the more stuff you'll find, even in this picture here. This is the same shot, but with a flash. This could be just about anything, but there is a tree, a young tree, that actually goes up through this pine tree, up and over into another side, and it just is kind of fed through this tree. Could a person do this? Sure, but it doesn't make sense. And there's something going on over here with all these other branches sprouting off, and I'm thinking there's probably a star pattern that's over to my left here. I have seen imprints like this before. I saw this up at, trying to think, there was a video that I had done, and I was at Mike's favorite spot. And there was these indentations in the snow that resemble this, right, not too far from the tent that we were sleeping in. In fact, the same tent that we used on this event was the same tent that Robin and I and Mike were in at one of his favorite spots. But I sat down in this one, and it was incredibly comfortable. Put my elbows here and kind of leaned back, and I was actually, I could have easily fallen asleep here. This one looked just as comfortable when I had found it. I don't know what this actual mound is. I don't know if this was a giant ant nest or what it was, but it was crazy to find, and it was equally crazy to find these crazy indentations in it as well. When you photograph things, always be diligent about what's going on in the background. This thing back here is just a log. It looks like there's a whole lot of something going on here. Some people might say that it's a Bigfoot. I would say no, it's not, because I know it's a log because I walked back to it. There's other things in the background back here that are intriguing, especially this stuff right here. Yeah, there's some crazy stuff happening, but I wasn't able to zoom in on what I was actually trying to target. But this is still that same thing. It looks like there's something here, but I know it's not, because I know this is a tree that's kind of going up, and there's another part of that tree right here, but you can't really tell what it is because my camera wasn't focusing in on that. It was focusing on everything in front of me. This is an X, followed by a little tiny X. Now the tiny X on the ground, I don't hold a lot of faith in, even though I look for strange things like that as well. But this X is more impressive when I was looking at it. This is a little arch. Now, there's many things that could have caused this arch, but what I find is interesting about this arch is that there is a stick that comes up. It's been bent around or twisted around, and it comes down and touches this, and the other part of it goes underneath it. So it's kind of holding on to the arch midway through. And I thought that was kind of different and interesting. The other part that's interesting is this stick that comes up and it greets the bend of the arch back to the ground, and that was also very interesting. Different view. This tree, believe it or not, is weird. So somewhere up here is a break, but this is the top of the tree. This is where that break is. It's jagged up in here. You can kind of see the jagged points. But the branch was fed back down through. Now, could it have fallen this way? Sure, it could have. But when this happened, this tree was very much alive on top. So this was a recent break. And what I kind of think is going on is this is a great hiding spot. It seems like there's something else going on right in this spot with a tree with a bunch of foliage draped over it. You could sit there all day long and not ever be seen. It's another view of that same branch. You can see the break a little bit easier inside there. It's all broken up. But the funny part about all this is it shouldn't have fallen the way it did. The reason is it looks like it was fed up from ground up, because there is a branch right here, and that is blocking this sucker right here. If this was a actual break off, I am pretty sure that break, the tree would have gone this way or that way or the other side. but it would not have landed the way it did because all these other branches are still intact. And to me, it looks like something carried it back up and stuffed it into the tree. Just at the right spot. This is a teepee structure that I first discovered not too far from the campsite, but it was in a ravine. It was probably about 50 to 75 yards away from our campsite. What I like about this tree is there is a leaner that comes in from the side here and is positioned just right, and it's up against this leaner here. There is a tree that goes up in the middle, and a lot of teepee-like structures that a Sasquatch makes, there's usually a tree in the middle of it, and you have like these straggler-looking logs that were brought in and placed in a certain way. We couldn't really find a rhyme or reason behind this thing. It just seemed out of sort, out of place. Usually when somebody's building it, it's more elaborate, and you'll see more logs that are stretched down all the way through, and it goes all the way around. This doesn't have that feel for me. This just has a feel of a mess. And a lot of times Sasquatch structures are a mess. No real doorway. There's too many ways to go in and out of this thing, and that also reads Sasquatch related. When humans build things, there's always a direct doorway that you go in and out of. And when you're studying Bigfooting, you'll figure out that Sasquatch don't want to be contained. So it doesn't make sense for an area like this for, you know, like if this was a doorway, all the rest of it would be covered. Why would they have a door? They don't know what a door is unless they went to some type of school to figure out how to make a door. This just probably isn't plausible. But everything about this is very odd and very open for a structure. I know Jeff Yellick has a video or two out there that shows structures like this that are just way open, and it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And to build something like this in a ravine doesn't make a whole lot of sense either. This is another branch break, so the branch is busted up here. Just like before, it's broken from, I do believe it's busted from up here. And again, it's hanging down, and it was also very much alive. In fact, it still has its green needles still attached to it. And it's odd that if you look close enough, you can see pine cones and stuff hanging off of it. So is that like a basic little food source? Maybe. There's some odd stuff to that. These are just wide shots. Sometimes when I'm out looking around, I will take photographs of stuff, and I will do a panoramic shot and just hope that I come across something really cool. This is a tree break where they actually took the tree off. So this would have been an actual tree sticking up, but whatever it was, broke the tree and ripped it straight up. Leaners. When I had my first encounter, when we arrived and I was feeling a little ill, I was actually seeing this thing, but at a different perspective. I was seeing it from this perspective. I was about, I want to say about 20, 30 feet away, and I saw this thing just sitting there in the trees, and I thought, what the hell? And Mike sometimes calls these trees right here, like this one right here that's bent up. It's bent right here. He calls them an Indian marker. There are some trees that are really crazy in this area that really show off like something had altered the tree's appearance a long time ago, and now it's grown up in such a way that you'll see like one, and then you'll see another, and you'll see another, and you'll see another. And there is some history behind that with the Utes, where they were marking trees in such a way or that they could actually follow these trees to get around the military when they're out looking for the Utes in the area. This is a star pattern, or it could even be looked at as a medicine wheel. There is a lot of things going on here. This thing doesn't really show what I'm seeing, but I'm trying to show. If I can zoom in here a little bit. There are a series of branches that go all the way around this thing that are woven together, and it looks like a big circle when it's, if I would have had it right. The photograph, I wish it was complete, but there's a big circle and there's a star pattern in the middle of it, and it was really pretty slick when I was looking at it, but unfortunately it's just this view that you get to see. These are pole pines. You'll see one here and you'll see another one here. This one actually has a root ball down here. The other one, root ball would be here, and they're both bent and they're both woven right inside this thing. So let me move some things around here so I can show you a little bit better here. So it's woven right in here. It actually is bent over on top of each other and back around again, so it was twisted around each other. Trees don't typically bend over in any way, shape, or form like this. They usually just grow straight up. Pole pines are a little bit more flexible on their bends, and I have found them doing some pretty weird things in the woods in Colorado. But I know that people don't create them. I know wind isn't creating this, but it's just one of those things that you look at it and go, yep, I can see how this is Sasquatch related. This is a knot that's this is a knot that's here. There are branches that are coming in. There's a broken branch hanging down, and it's all tied into one spot, which I thought was really kind of strange looking at it. Again, we have more leaners going on, and they're all stacked upon each other. Now, can wind do that? Sure, wind can do that. Can downdrafts do that? Usually, maybe, but usually they will be blown all in one direction if it's a downdraft. It's not like the wind whips around and ties these trees together or lay them down like that. Usually you'll find them in vast areas where, if this is a true downdraft, all these trees would be down. It wouldn't just be a hand-selected few that are laying on top of each other. This is a bunch of stuff all grouped together. These are a couple of logs that were brought in. This log was not attached to a root ball at all. And it goes all the way up the tree. It follows the tree, in fact. And then there's other sticks that have been laid into it, kind of like tying it together. And this might have been a juvenile tree structure build. This is a view that I found by accident. I thought it was incredibly beautiful after we got out through to look around. We end up going further down and into this valley. This is Mike right here. He's checking out for like little crevices and places that something might be hiding. And you got to be careful with that, because sometimes you may think, oh, this is cool, you know, I want to go and see what's in here, or what's, you know, if there's something way back over here somewhere, or is there a cave. Look carefully around your surroundings, because you could be potentially crawling into a den of snakes, a mountain lion den, a bear's den, a skunk's den, coyotes. Now in Colorado, it could be wolves. You know, you don't know what you're really getting into until you start peeking around. If you're making enough noise, they may not actually do anything. They'll just leave you alone. But if you get up to a cave or something and you're looking in, or think about looking in and you start hear growling, you might want to back away from it versus venturing closer to see what it is. This is scat. Now, I don't know what created this. I really don't. I don't know what this actually could be. It looks like human. It could be Sasquatch related. It could be maybe a person. It could be an animal. But I don't know what kind it really was. I like finding leaners that have other branches braced across it. This branch going from one side to the other, it's actually sitting down here, and it goes all the way across this tree, goes across this one, and then this tree thing here is holding on to this branch here that's, you know, aiming towards this. It is just weird, and things like that, I have to say, are Sasquatch related. It just seems too far-fetched for it not to be. Now I am photographing something on this hill. I don't see it in this picture, which is kind of annoying. I think I am in the wrong angle of it. There is a pattern back there. I'm going to show it to you here. Oh, nope. It's not on that lineup. Oh, here we go. So this is what I was filming. I love this. I see this thing all the time, all over Colorado. I see it on the ground. Sometimes I see a tree in the center growing up, and they have this crazy star pattern going on. And this goes all the way around. And this thing, when I saw it, it's actually on a hill going up. And I was like, what? And I loved it. I love this photograph. So this is an X, and like I said before, I don't believe X's actually mean that this is a keep out, because this right here is a stream. So there is water flowing through this thing. It looks like that's a fish, possibly, but there's water flowing through here. And every time I find X's, I either see it near water, or I see it near like big herds of deer, or other things, like it might be some type of edible food crop somewhere nearby. Oh, why did it do that? Oh, weird. There's that X again. Okay, so I'm gonna have to stop it on this one, and I'll have another video ready to go in 4, Wednesday. So I will stop it at this point. My name is Patrick. This is Sasquatch in the Wild, and I hope you're enjoying this journey. I'll talk to you soon.